Hello, lovely people, and welcome to my channel. My name is Stephanie, and this is Evolved Chit. It's my little corner of the world where I like to talk about spirituality, metaphysical stuff, universal laws, and psychology. So in this video, I am actually going to answer a couple of questions that I saw in comments from my videos. So I appreciate the questions that these questions in particular. So I was actually recording another video that I'll be posting in the coming week about law of assumption and law of attraction techniques and using them to magnetize in your twin flame. So stay tuned for that. But in this video, I'm going to talk about what to do or how to prepare, air quotes, when your twin flame comes back in. And also, someone had asked, like, what did I use? What measures or tools did I use to determine if someone is my twin flame? So I talk about those two things in my video. So just a reminder to hit the like button. So hit the thumbs up if you find my content helpful or mildly entertaining. I appreciate that. And of course, please share it with others. If you know anyone else who's trying to navigate all this stuff and kind of confused, if you think this content would help them, please feel free to share it with them. And also hit the subscribe button. I do plan on recording more content as we're getting into the cooler months here in the United States. So been a little bit behind because it's been summer, but I hope to get back into like a once a week or once every 2 weeks kind of cadence. So hit the subscribe button and check out content on my website, evolvedchit.com, and go to the Get Started page. So I'm offering 30 and 60-minute coaching sessions if you want to connect. Also, you can read my blog articles. I think there's a lot of good content out there, things I talk about and what I use and do to help manage my mindset, and then also some stuff about twin flames. And of course, you can download the free 7-day Mindset Reset ebook, and it's just a simple ebook of exercises to help you get connected to who you are. And I have to tell you, this is the stuff that like everyone has been talking about for like the last 5 years about law of assumption and manifestation. It's just, I've simplified it. So there's steps in there, different exercises you can use, and then also some pages where I share with you different like tools and tips on how to create affirmations and manage your mindset and so on. So be sure to check that out. All right, so I did pre-record this content in another video, so I'm just gonna let it roll. So enjoy, take care. So when we're looking at things that trigger us, I wanted to actually take a moment to talk about a question someone asked in the comments of one of my videos, and that is, you know, what do we do when you reconnect or start talking to your twin flame again after like a period of like no contact? So, and that is a great question, and I'm going to share with you like my personal experiences with this. And again, like when I was like learning about a lot of this stuff early on, I was really just trying to bypass it. Like I could see it for what it is, but I thought like, well, I know better because, you know, I know all this stuff and I've read it and blah, blah, blah. So I was kind of brash about it. And I wasn't like really being mindful or putting in like the work, if you will. So I thought I could kind of, you know, move through these things and not have to apply them for me. So some of the things that I had read early on was that when your twin flame comes back in, you want to be mindful of like where your energy's at. And meaning like if you are texting with that person or talking to them on the phone or getting together with them in person, you want to be mindful of how much energy you're putting on that or projecting onto them. So if you are having interactions with your twin flame and they're triggering you, what are they informing you? So a trigger could be the fact that you're even thinking about or wanting to know how to communicate with this person. So it's like trying to control the situation or the outcome. And I don't mean that in a villainous way, just in general, it's like an act of control, an emotional control. So what I had done in this was at first, like I could see how my stuff was really triggering me. And I was like, when we would reconnect after like a period of no contact, I would just be like, you know, word vomit, blah, like just talking and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized I was like, I'm being triggered. Like this is a trigger to try and like, you know, control the situation. And then also, like, I could see where other things I was bringing up and discussing were just like, this just isn't the right place or time for this. So, but the thing is that because we had like no contact for a while, and this is a person I love talking to, I was just like, out with all of it. And then also, I could see that, like, I wanted these interactions to last as long as they could. So in that respect, I was getting triggered as well. So what I realized in all of this was, like, I could look at these things that I thought were like normal and see how they're really creating, like, what kind of energy they're creating inside of me. And they were creating like a need to control, a need to want to be picked or not to be left behind. So it allowed me to get into those emotions and see why I was feeling that way when I was interacting with him. And again, it's like, this is not stuff that I had necessarily felt with like all people throughout my life. It was like certain dynamics that would really stir this up. And this situation with him, it was showing me all those things. And I was at this point, I guess, in my life, or my understanding or whatever, or the way that our relationship dynamic is, like, I could actually learn from this. So, and probably because I was ready to learn from it. And I got it to the point where it was like, I didn't have this need to want to like know what he was doing. And I know that sounds terrible, but before it was like, in a way, like a need to know what he's doing in an act of control for me. Like, it just made me feel better knowing, no matter what it was. It didn't matter what it was. And after a while, I was like, wow, that's like a push energy. And I could see, like, now it's just like, well, I hope he's doing well today and has a great day, like, until we talk to each other. Or like, I don't need to put like control or something around it, or have to overthink like what we're going to talk about or do. I'm just like, how was your day? How'd it go? Knowing about something he might be doing or whatever. Like, I don't have to like be in control of it. I can just let it be. And it has hugely let me off the hook in a lot of ways. And I'm sure energetically it's something that he feels as well. So by wanting to control like what we're saying, or overthinking what we're saying, or getting over dressed up when we're going to meet this person. I mean, unnecessarily so, right? It's one thing, like, I like to get dressed up when I go out and look good, and I do that no matter who I go out with. Family member, a friend, him, doesn't matter. So making it more about you, and again, bringing it back to your self-concept and how you're showing up when you are out with a friend, when you're dating, like, if that's what this is, if you're dating your twin flame. But don't make it something that it's not yet. So just be yourself. Show up. Dress the way you would dress. Like, if we were going out, like, if you were talking to me, how would you talk to me? Or one of your friends? Or like, how do you get dressed up when you go out with one of your friends? So that's something to think about in terms of like wanting to have to be prepared for this, or have to know, or that's an energy, and it's an act of control. And a lot of that is triggered by emotions and beliefs. And again, that creates that vibration, and that vibration creates our frequency. And again, if this twin flame theory is accurate, and that you're a shared energy, then that shared energy is also feeling that projection and that need to control, which is said can be a push energy. And that creates a push on them, which often creates that runner-chaser dynamic. So make it less about what you're going to do or talk about when you reconnect with them, and make it more about being your most amazing self. Because when you show up, it's just natural. Like the conversations, ever since I really started to balance out my energy and be less focused on trying to control the situation, the interactions with my twin flame have changed significantly. And we were just out recently on the weekend and having brunch, and just having a great time, great conversation, sharing our food, talking about whatever, in the moment, talking about the restaurant, talking about something we did, whatever. Like, it's just being in the moment and being present. We can still talk about, things we're doing in our life or different things that are going on in the world or whatever. Like, those conversations still come up, but it's just like, I don't think about like what I'm going to do. I just treat it like any other, when I'm going out with any other person. I don't overthink it. I don't want to overthink it anymore. It's just so much easier not to overthink it. So, my guidance to you would be that, like, don't even think about it. Stay focused on, doing, and being the amazing person that you are, and what is allowing you to, transcend maybe some of your stuff that doesn't serve you anymore. And you're evolving into, this next level of your beingness. And what can you learn from these things that you're shedding? Which is why it's painful, because we're like literally shedding, or like losing a person. And what we're losing is our old self. And we're stepping into this new self. And as we, our souls desire to ascend and transcend, learn lessons, and this experience of being a human. So that's the way I look at it, and it's very beautiful and poetic, and it's very aspirational for me. It just aligns for me, and so it's how I choose to live my life. And unless it's something like at work that I have to like control or be prepared to do or whatever, I try not to allow that kind of mindset infiltrate my relationships outside of my job. And again, with work, it's like, I'm paid to think like that. I'm paid to think like, to be strategic, to think about how I'm moving the pieces and the parts around, and my team members, and how do we get things done. Like, that's my job to do that. So I could see like how that's the stuff I've done well for my whole career. I could see how I was trying to do that in other areas of my life. And I'm like, I can't corral other people. So when I stopped trying to control like how I was going to show up, or what I was going to talk about, or was I going to text him after we parted ways that night, or, whatever, like when I stopped thinking about that and just like, okay, I'm just going to be, and then whatever comes up, I'm going to let that be. And then whatever comes out of that, I'm going to let that be, and so on and so on. So meaning that don't overthink it. Just continue to be your most amazing self, and, continue to lean into shedding the old skins and transcending the stuff that doesn't serve you anymore. And that is going to make you far more interesting and attractive than having prepared content for when you interact with your twin flame and your next connection. So just stay focused on you. Stay focused on how amazing you are, and this awareness that you have now about yourself, and how you can use this to help you align with what your soul's intention is in this lifetime. And that's the mission stuff. So you can use tools and techniques like this to help you see where you are out of alignment with your, I like this term, your favorite self. I read this somewhere and I was like, man, I really love that, because it does let us off the hook. We're not always going to be perfect. We're just being, and we're experiencing, and we're learning. So how are we our most favorite self? And that's what, you could equate that to like your highest self or your best self. So how are we being how are we stepping into our highest self? How are we aligning with what feels right for us in this lifetime? So I have some other videos where I talk about different things that can help us align with our, air quotes, mission. And it's using some astrological aspects to help you see what your North Star is in this lifetime, as well as what you're coming in with as far as like karma or tools, like experiences, wisdom, what have you. So these are aspects called your North Node and your South Node. So I'll put some links in the description to this, the videos that I did. I shared that information with my twin flame, and he loved it. He was like, I'd shared it with him like when we were first, when we had first met each other, and we were talking about things that we love, and I talk about astrology, and I told him about his North Node, And we didn't talk about it all that much after that. And then more recently, like earlier this year, we were together and we were talking about astrology, and he told me, he's like, that information was hugely beneficial, and it helped him move through something of his own that he felt stuck with. And so it was really cool to see that, like to see someone like benefit from that knowledge and apply it to their life and then see the benefits of it. So that was really cool. So I do have a couple videos where I talk about that aspect and resources that I've used that have been really helpful for me to understand it, and how to apply it to my life. So I will point those out in the description, and they're always in the pinned comment. Also, you might want to check out your Saturn aspect. So the Saturn is like the teacher, and sometimes can be a little bit of a stern teacher. And what can we learn about our Saturn aspect, and how is that telling us about what some of our lessons are in this lifetime? So I found this information on an astrologer's website. Her name is Karen Black, and I will have the link to her site and these specific places on her website in the description and in the pinned comment. But when I read her description of my Saturn, like where my Saturn is in my natal chart, I was like, what? I felt so seen. Like I felt very vulnerable. Seriously, like, wow, like it blew my mind. And Saturn is a slower moving planet. It's one of the outer planets. So I don't think you need your exact time of birth to know your Saturn placement. It's helpful to understand your time when you have your time of birth. It gives you better accuracy in pinpointing the different aspects. But I think in general, you can find out your Saturn and its placement in which sign, and you can learn more about that. So she has those details on her website, and I'll point you in that direction. So if you're feeling a little stuck and you're projecting because you're kind of having a little bit of an identity crisis, then you can use these tools to help you get into alignment with your highest self, your best self. And that is what allows us to develop our self-concept. It helps us get clear on the things that we want to experience, because maybe you've been doing things out of just habit, or because it's what you've always done, or what you were told that you needed to do. So you can look at these tools and have them help you move through your process a little more fluidly. And one other thing while I'm here, I just want to say, this was based on another question someone had asked in one of my videos, and that was, what tools did I use to determine if someone was my twin flame? So, I mean, I didn't make any of this stuff up. I don't know who created these tools or rules or this and that, but what I do know is that when I was using some of these things to validate if somebody was my fake twin flame, there was no connection. It was just purely like emotional triggers, and probably even what they call limerence. I had just lost my dad. I was like going through a lot of trauma there at that point in my life. So I could see how I was projecting, and it was really good timing because all the twin flame stuff was like swirling in my social feeds and everything. And when I was looking at this checklist of like, who's a twin flame, I could see like, oh wow, this is doing this and this is doing that. But it really wasn't. It was just like, it was like it, but it was not it. It was very different with the person who I believe is my twin flame. So there are a lot of synchronicities, and I'll probably do a short video on this because I've been asked about this by a number of people about the dynamics and the synchronicities with my twin flame. So there are a lot of synchronicities just in general, like things that he's younger than me, things that he was doing at the same age I was doing, like mirrored, and just similar things, like just the kind of houses we grew up in, and the what it was like in the house that we grew up in. And so it was just all those dynamics, creative interests. We use similar phrases that like before, like when we first met, he would say something and I was like, wow, I say that exactly like that. And I've never heard people say something that way. So there was a lot of things like that. And then there's some physical symmetry as well. And like physical appearance, like likenesses. And then I did our astrological composite chart, and I can put a link to some resources I've used for that. But I didn't do the synastry chart because synastry is like relationship, so it's like person to person. But composite was like the wholeness, like the oneness, so like when you like you are like what's your couple style, like, I guess if you want to call it that. So it's like that. It's like the one, like the wholeness, the oneness, the relationship. And that blew my mind. There was stuff that I was like, what? Like in this chart was even referring to like, this is a mirror soul and this and that. And there were things that were just like dead on accurate about the connection. And then I did another chart that was more of a psychological chart, and that was through another site, and Liz Green, who I think is an awesome astrologer and has great astrology content. And I purchased that chart and ran it. Same thing. It was different. It was different in the way that it doesn't talk necessarily about your astrological aspects, like, oh, your Saturn does this to their Jupiter or whatever. It wasn't like that. It was more like using astrology from a psychological perspective. And that was mind-blowing, like how dead on accurate it was. And again, I had done this with the person I believe is my fake twin flame, I call them, and not like complete opposite. Like none of that was there. Then more recently, I guess it was probably a few years ago, like I was still researching all of this stuff, and I happened upon a YouTube channel, Stars Align with Carmen. And I like her. I love numerology. It's really good. I think her content is outstanding, and she really knows her stuff. And it's just, I haven't been on her channel in a while to see what kind of new content she's been doing, but I've always appreciated the information she's putting out there. And I found one of her videos about how to use numerology to determine if somebody is, I think she said your false twin flame, or determine if they are your twin flame. So, but whatever it was, I'll put the link in the description. And she guides you on how you can use numerology to determine if someone is your twin flame or not. And she identified that there are certain numbers, like certain, what's the word I want to use? Like, I don't want to say, like, in astrology you have a chart, but there are like certain like algorithms you can run, numerology algorithms you can run to determine if like you match each other or mirror each other. So I think there was like 4 or 5 factors that she had listed. And this is stuff that you can do for free. I will include links in the description of where I ran my charts to do this. So at first I tested it because I didn't want to do this with him. I was like a little nervous. I'm like, I don't know, like what if there's nothing and this is just, I'm being insane, like whatever. So I was like, all right, let me run it with other people. And I even ran it to a couple that I know who's married. And so again, I was just trying to debunk and demystify all this. So Carmen says, like, if you run your I can never say that word, numerology charts, and you're running it for like your birthday number, for your desire number, for this number, for that number, and if they are the same number, then it's an indication that this person is your twin flame. And if they're not, then it's an indication that they may not be. So again, I did this for friends of mine who are a married couple, and they had like one number that matched each other. So meaning like they had the same number. I think their destiny number was like a 3 or something like that. And I ran it for myself, and I ran it with the person who I call my fake twin flame, no matches. I did this and ran it with a friend's information. I think we had one match. And so I was like, okay, let's do it now. So I typed in his info. I already had my numbers. I typed in his info. And the information is like their full birth, their name given at birth, and then their date of birth. And put that information in there, first number, match. And it's like, if he was a 25-7, I'm a 52-7. So it was like we were the opposite of whatever the numbers were that equated to the final number, numerology value. I was like, okay, oh my God. I was like, it was so tense. You would have thought like, I don't even know. It was just like, it's such an intense thing to do. And then I ran the next one. It was a match. And again, the opposite. And I forget, I wrote a comment in her thing under my personal account, where I list the numbers, and it was a comment I made a couple of years ago. So I forgot that I commented on it, but I was just so floored. I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And I ran the other numbers that she suggested you run these charts for to check the numbers match. And again, opposite. If he was like, I was like an 11-2, which I know an 11's in a master number, but I still like added it up to the 2. I was an 11-2. He was a 22. I was a 34-7. He was a 43-7, or, things like that. So it was like we were the opposite of each other in this. And that I was like, okay, I'm stepping away. Like, this is weird. So it's that kind of stuff that I have done and tried to use to demystify if this is really a thing, because there are times where it's just like, this seems very much like a thing. So, but also, while it could very well be a thing, it doesn't need to like dominate our inner world. It doesn't need to make us feel like we got to push and pull our energy on someone. What it's showing us is that we are doing those things, and that perhaps the way we have been acting unconsciously, maybe in most cases, up until this point in our life, where it has been keeping us out of alignment with our most authentic self, our highest self, our favorite self. And in that respect, it's a real blessing. And the feelings that this is churning up inside of you is that, your desire for a connection and a reconnection with yourself, a desire to love yourself deeply. And instead, we're projecting that onto this other person who is mirroring to us that we are really the ones that we need to invest this time and energy in. And when we're doing that, we are just naturally vibing and in our frequency and magnetizing in accordingly. So that is how you can use these tools and techniques to help you magnetize in your most favorite self, your most authentic life, and making it more about who you are and what you're doing, and less about how you're showing up in this dynamic right now. So staying focused on your self-concept is going to help you in every facet of your life. And I encourage you to take a look at, and I found this when I reflected upon this for myself, and also when I have had these discussions with people who have been on their journey for a while, like where were you at in like what emotional state, where was your head at, where were you at in general when you happened upon all this twin flame stuff and you met the person that you believe is your twin flame. And what I found is that most people were probably in one of their highest vibrations. So you can use that as a guide of, where were you at when you were really in that connection early on? What kind of place were you in? What kind of space were you in? Were you like emerging from something and having this greater sense of self-awareness and realization about yourself? Or maybe you were really in your authenticity and loving your life in that moment, and you're magnetized this person in, and then we were triggered. So you can use these tools to help you understand that and help you get more deeply connected to who you are. So check out the description. I'll put a bunch of details and resources in there, and then also always in the pinned comment, check that out too. I put resources in there of tools that I've used that have helped me, and what I continue to use to help me when I feel like I'm going a little sideways. So if you liked this video or you found it mildly entertaining, I would love it if you could give it a thumbs up. And also subscribe to my channel. I know I don't post all the time, but when I do, I hope the videos are helpful and meaningful. I do try to do one every couple of weeks, just based on topics or my availability to, to think about and produce these. Also, if you think that this content has been helpful, please share it with other people. I know that there are a lot of people out there who are just consuming a ton of content, and it can be a little overwhelming and conflicting messages. But really, it's about finding what works for you. I mean, everyone is different, which is why self-inquiry is so important. So I hope that maybe some of these nuggets that I'm sharing with you of what I did and the tools that I use, that you are inspired to use them, and they help you on your path, and they get you into better alignment with your highest self. Visit my website, evolvedchit.com. Go to the Get Started page. Check out the free ebook, which will help you get into alignment with your self-concept. There's also some tools and information in the ebook about how you can create affirmations to help you rewire your subconscious and like flip your script. And also some suggestions on what kinds of tools you could use to use to help you reaffirm for, recreating your subconscious. And also I'm offering 30 and 60-minute coaching sessions. So if you'd like to connect with me and talk about your situation, and we can identify your blocks and approach and techniques that you can use to help you better balance your energy and move through your blocks and magnetize more amazing shit into your life. And also I'm offering a special offer right now, and that information is on the services page when you go to purchase a session. And this is just a reminder that you are loved, you are amazing, you are awesome, you are necessary, and you are really freaking needed right now. So step into your power. And until next time, I'm sending you lots of love and good vibes for your journey. Bye.